I think so. Fine.
This one. Illegal to do the front. Well, good afternoon. So let me turn my volume off.
I'm awake now.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Okay. All right. Okay, yeah, as you can see, basically what I'm going to do today is try to finish up the finer points of the Great Depression and the New Deal. And then, yeah, papers are taking a little longer. It just takes a long time with the large group class. I'll try to have everything done by this weekend, preferably by Sunday. If not, then I may just, barring any unforeseen problem, but it'll be all finished this weekend. So give the instructor a little bit of forgiveness on that. We'll get that done. Anyways, this was the last thing we talked about on Monday, I believe, and I just want to just really briefly go over this. There's nothing new here. I want to apologize too. If a lot of you did download the lecture from that was on Blackboard, I did kind of switch things around to make it a little bit. Let's just not even lie. I switched a lot of stuff around, so it's okay though. Just try to bear with it. My main goal is, you got to understand about me. I'm always trying to change what I'm doing to benefit myself mostly, but also you. And I felt like I didn't really have the right mix of slides and stuff, so that's why I kind of changed things around. So if you didn't download it, it won't matter. So here we go. Anyways, this was the last thing we kind of talked about on Monday, and Herbert Hoover, wrong place at the wrong time. His response to the Great Depression was pretty much this whole idea of voluntary, non-coercive cooperation. Like the businesses, he's asking them to help. He's asking them to pitch in. He's asking them, not forcing them to do anything. But that seems to be what he wants to do, and this is a largely ineffective thing. There is no way that America is going to get out of the Depression if the businesses just do whatever they want, you know. So all of this stuff, unfortunately for him, and this, I got to talk about this for a bit. In 1932, check this out. Now this is how bad it gets, and how bad it's getting. On December 5th, 1932, just almost 1 month after the election, just to show you how bad everything's getting for people, and also showing you that Hoover's policies are doing jack squat for the American people. you've got this event. This is called the Bonus Army. And basically what happens is a bunch of World War I ex-soldiers march on Washington demanding not repayment, but a payment that they were promised for fighting World War I, a bonus, okay? Now, I'm a person probably like you that really believes that our veterans should be provided for, right? That's the least we can do for our veterans. No matter if you're against war or not, or you're a pacifist or, like me or whatever, but dude, if you go off and fight, you should be hooked up with the basic services that the government should provide. Can I get an amen? Okay, cool. There we are. Not to get all churchy on you, but what happens to them is they never get paid that bonus when they come back from World War I. And so there had been a lot of basically like lobbying, I guess you could say, by different people that are trying to get the government to do that. And it's just not happening. And by 1932, these folks have had it. And it gets so bad and things get escalated. Thousands of these soldiers march on Washington, and they're a lot older than they were back in World War I, obviously. But they march in order to disperse the crowds and I guess to make it public safety and to improve public safety, the administration sends out basically tanks and disperses a whole bunch of tanks into the crowd. And when it's all said and done, you have a whole bunch of people that are injured. You have about 6 tanks being used and about 100 marchers that are injured by these tanks, whether they're being shot at or in some cases not run over, but generally just injured by this. And this just puts a lasting black mark on Hoover's presidency anyway. And it just shows you kind of, I don't even know what you would call this, disregard for human decency or disregard for human life. I mean, the very least the government should have done is come out and address the crisis and at least paid these people or told them that they were going to pay them instead of sending out tanks. And in a lot of ways, the Great Depression kind of feels like this. It feels like this is just the epitome of hopelessness, if we're fighting each other in the streets, military versus the people. It's a very, very bad thing. So I just wanted to bring that up to kind of give you a little symbol of what's going on. Now, 1 month before that, President Roosevelt had won the election, and let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I think I showed you this before, but you've got this electoral map, and again, it's a very lopsided election. But in 1932, you've got the very charismatic Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt here running against the very uncharismatic and not necessarily great person, Herbert Hoover. And by 1932, the Depression was just probably is the worst it's going to be. Okay, 25% unemployment, 25%, and I say that to emphasize that number, 25%. It's so big of a problem that you don't even know. In America today, we're dealing with about a little bit over 5% unemployment. It's kind of jumped a little bit. Now, a few years ago, we had this thing called the Great Recession, okay, which is probably why Obama won in 2008. Or I don't know, maybe there were other factors, historicalness, whatever you want to call it, but certainly at that point you had about almost 10% unemployment. So unemployment shrunk, and we're kind of in a good place right now in terms of the economy, at least on that measurement of it. But for 25% of your people to be unemployed is a tremendous thing. Now, if you think that's bad, at the same time, in 1932 in Germany, you've got 50% unemployment. Okay, so half the people are unemployed. And so if you ever wonder why people would vote for a nut job like Hitler, that's why. the more you lose out on your economic livelihood, the more you're going to vote for crazy people. In this case, Roosevelt tends to embody some hope because the situation is tremendously hopeless. Even this statistic is bad. You know, national income. In other words, the GDP, the gross domestic product of the country, is down by half because of all those factors we talked about last time, whether it's the stock market crashing or the maldistribution of wealth or the lack of diversification in the economy or just overproduction. All of that is like just a big recipe for disaster. And that's what you have here. The economy is significantly disadvantaged. And it's not just the United States, it's worldwide, right? It's worldwide. So the Republicans, of course, nominate Hoover. Heaven knows why. I think they were probably thinking, oh, okay, well, let's just regroup for the next election because there's no way he's going to win. In the video clip that I'll probably end up showing you in a few minutes, they also talk about it and they say, dogs even had an intuitive dislike of Herbert Hoover. Some people were even joking with Herbert Hoover, like, dude, just vote for Roosevelt and make it unanimous, okay? Just get it over with. Throw in the sponge. And so FDR is the president. And Franklin D. Roosevelt, again, just a little bit of biography about him, disabled. He has polio. He is a distant cousin of Teddy Roosevelt, the governor of New York, a very charismatic guy who loved, I'm going to say he loved people. He loved being in front of it. If he had a television back then, which he did in his later years, if he actually had television, he would be eating that up. He would be on Twitter all the time. He liked all of that. He liked that part of the presidency about meeting people, knowing people, and really just joking with people and pressing the flesh, all the stuff that politicians do. He was that kind of guy. I'm not going to say he was like as energetic as Teddy Roosevelt, but he was pretty good. One interesting thing is he married his sixth cousin. Her name is Eleanor Roosevelt, which gives a new definition to the meaning of kissing cousins. I guess if you marry your sixth cousin, that's cool. Your first cousin,
Some states still allow it.
Sure, some states are different. Me personally, I like my cousin, but hey, not that much though. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a very brief part of this video to show you kind of just how difficult the Depression was and what was going to happen to the country. And then I'm going to spend about 4 o'clock to about 4:30 talking about how President Roosevelt wanted to fix these problems. And so here's some questions that I'll just kind of leave for discussion. Some of the effects of the Great Depression on American society. I'll ask you that, based on what you see. Another question that I'll ask you is, if possible, we'll talk about different social groups. What do you notice? Is there a difference between how, say, women or African Americans, based on what you see in this short video clip? Now, here's a key idea too about Americans viewing themselves in the Great Depression and their government. And one of the important things, hopefully you'll learn today, is that the New Deal changes the way people view themselves and their relationship to the government. Okay, so let me show you this clip, and then we'll take it from there. Well, there is no shame in that. You gotta have toilet. You gotta have the TV.
When it goes on sale,
That's right. And thank God for Costco, because that keeps us out of a depression right
I try to
there.
get clear Costco.
So, anyways, apologize for the video. It is good. Whatever, let's just go. So, oh crap.
Mm.